Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope everyone is staying safe, and most of all, I hope you've had some time to fight that war against the Grey. Today we've got another video in our Star Collecting series, a series where we look at the various Star Collecting boxes in the Age of Sigmar and talk about how the models inside of the Star Collecting boxes can help us start an army of the box they are supposed to be for. We'll also look at how you can expand upon this force after your initial purchase and talk about how to create a fun, dynamic and interesting army based upon the theme that is given to us by the original Star Collecting box. Today we're looking at the multitudinous hordes that gather across the mortal realms in the name of the dark gods, the slaves to darkness. This army book also does contain the personal army of the Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse, Kaon the Everchosen, so it's got some really elite fighting chaos units as well. While this book might seem that it's meant to be for Chaos Undivided on the cover, you can actually do Godmarked armies within this book in its own right. So you can have a Tzeentch army, a Khorne army, a Nurgle army, or a Slaanesh army within this book, as well as Chaos Undivided. You can actually mix all the Chaos Gods up as well, which is really cool in this battle tome, and create a really sort of unique dynamic within the army of having like a hero and a unit from one god and then another sort of pair from another. It creates a cool looking army that you can really go to town with on colours, changing up the colours between units depending on what god they're marked to, but also playing around with some colours to tie the whole force in together. It's quite a fun army as a hobby project as much as it is to play on the table. So let's get looking at the models that are inside this box, and the thing to mention about them before we get really delving into them properly is that all the models inside this box are monopose plastic kits. So they all are just single pose miniatures. Nothing here is doubled up though, so you've got all these individual sculpts, which is amazing. However, yeah, they are what they are. This does mean that potentially purchasing this box again might not necessarily be the greatest idea. However, if you get extra units of the two kits that are unit sized in this, you can mix up these models with the sort of more mono posed in a different way. Or static pose is probably a better way to put it. Mix them up and you've got some really great sort of mix up within your units, so add a bit more dynamism and a bit more feel to your units. But we'll start by looking at the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak. He's the hero you can see here at the front. He's a really fighty hero that likes to lead from the front. So that's pretty much all there is to say about him. He's a great modelling opportunity. You can really go to town with that Karkadrak on different colours depending on which god you've got marked to your army. But all in all, he's a great fighting hero to lead your force, which is exactly what you want for Slaves to Darkness. We then get talking about the 10 guys behind him on foot, and they are known as Chaos Warriors. These are your basic troops for the Chaos Army, and they're just fantastic models. This kit here, and even the old Chaos Warriors, though they are very static in their posing, are a really fantastic kit, and you should definitely go buy more Chaos Warriors because they're amazing, and what's not to love about a warrior that's like fused inside his armour. That's right, they can't take their armour off, they're actually fused to it. Their flesh is fused to the metal and they never take their armour off. It's really like, it's metal as all hell. But they're a great unit in combat. They get to some ignore mortal wound saves. They're also relatively fighty. There's nothing too over the top about them, but they are pretty decent in a fight. The unit up the back though is our damage dealing unit in the box, and they are the Chaos Knights. These guys are pretty devastating on a charge. They don't definitely do as well when they're sort of getting bogged down, but getting them on a charge and getting them to destroy units that you've got pinned in place with the rest of your force is definitely something that they excel at. All in all though, like, this box is really great to get you started for a Slaves to Darkness army. You've got battle line options set up for you, and it's actually a good base where you don't need to buy any more battle line units, which is always a plus in these Star Collecting boxes. Any of them that provide you with enough battle line for a 1,000-point game so you can get moving on quickly with all cool stuff is great in my books. But where do we go next? And so my first thought is, well, chaos is all about like chaos as you would expect, but the magic sort of side of it was always something that springs to mind, is like chaos corrupts, and chaos magic definitely corrupts the best. So the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, or potentially a Gaunt Summoner, especially if you're going down like a more Tzeentch route, is another decent option, but the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is definitely something I recommend picking up. He's got a fantastic ability, and probably one of like the best single abilities for a character in a game, with his sort of eye ability, and I definitely go have a full read of that. It's got a lot to it, but it's great. But he's got some cool magic, and you can also potentially pick up the endless spells when you grab him as well. Chaos have some really great looking endless spells with a bunch of different effects, which are all fun to use. The unit after him, though, that I look at picking up, and so there is a few things bumping around in my head on like, what do I pick up? For me, though, like one of my favourite units that Chaos have are Chaos Chosen. These are more elite Chaos warriors, and they're just utter monsters in combat. They don't necessarily have all the defensive bonuses that the Chaos Warriors have, but they make up for that and just hurting that much more. I really love the models. I mean, I know they're Funcast, they can be a bit pricey, but you could always convert up some Chaos Warriors from the older kits into them as well, potentially finding maybe some Blood Warriors or something like that to convert up into Chaos Chosen, which is another good way to get them a bit cheaper, but the current Chaos Chosen models are fantastic, and I personally love them. So I'd always recommend picking up a unit of these as like an elite fighting unit within your force. The next thing I want to talk about picking up, though, is a really interesting part to the Chaos Army. So when your heroes slay other enemy heroes in combat, they do great deeds and all that sort of stuff across the battlefield, and great deeds is a matter of perspective in this instance. They have the potential to roll on the Eye of the Gods table and turn into a Daemon Prince. It's a really sort of unique and cool sort of flavorful rule that Chaos have, and it might not come about all that often, but it's always great when it does. Definitely, I always suggest a Slaves to Darkness player should always have a Daemon Prince or two on hand in case this ever happens, but they can also start in your army and are great models to add to your army. It's nice to have, I guess, this piece that's, I guess you could consider them a centerpiece. Slaves to Darkness generally don't have that many bigger models, obviously excluding the Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse, Archaon himself, but they're a cool little thing that stands a bit higher than the rest of your force and can add a bit of colour to your force as well. They're great monsters in combat, and they can take marks like the rest of your army, which is also really cool. The last unit, though, I want to suggest, and there's a few options that I was like tossing up for this particular spot. Chaos Marauders are a great unit to add. All the different Warcry warbands and cultist units are fantastic. Archaon himself is a fantastic centerpiece. However, I chose to go with the Vanguard. The Vanguard are Archaon's personal bodyguard warriors. They're his generals that he allows to lead out his forces in his absence. What's really cool about them is they're just absolutely stunning models. There is so much detail jam-packed on this. This is a dream of a model to paint and to just go to town with. I've seen some fantastic things done by lots of people where they've had multiple units of Vanguard throughout their army, all of them marked to a particular god, or I've seen units within the Vanguard all marked out differently to different gods. It's got a lot of potential and for just modelling and painting and all that sort of fun stuff. Not only that, but they are fantastically good on the table. They're great fighters. They've got some good defense as well, and they rock. They hit hard, and they just charge across the battlefield, killing everything. I personally really love the Vanguard. Like I said, though, Slaves to Darkness have a massive range, and there's so many good options. I couldn't fit them all in the 4 that I do with this sort of series. Gaunt Summoner, Archaon, Chaos Marauders, the cultist units are all fantastic, and you've really got a lot of great options with Slaves to Darkness. I'd really like to know what you guys think of Slaves to Darkness 2. What are some of your automatic picks for Slaves to Darkness, or what are some of your favourite models in the Slaves to Darkness range? Because this one for me was really hard to pick. I think it's the first one where I've really struggled to pick extra units to add to the Start Collecting box, which is a good thing because that means there's really no singular way I sort of see collecting this army to make it thematic in a way that suits the Start Collecting box's original base. So you've got a lot of potential here. But let me know all those things down in the comments below, and also you can check out our Discord server. There's a link in the description to the video down below. I hope this has been helpful for anyone looking to start Slaves to Darkness. I'm sorry I wasn't quite as focused on the points that I put through with all the suggestions for units. I wasn't quite as set in them as I was for many of the other videos, but there's just so much great choice. Don't forget to like the video, everyone, please, and don't forget to subscribe. We're fast approaching that 1,000 mark, and it's amazing. Thank you for everyone who has subscribed and supported the channel so far. You guys are amazing, and thank you to anyone who does in the future. But stay safe, everyone. Stay well. And most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. I'll see you all again real soon. Bye for now.